5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start. The drafting committee of the Indian Constitution played a pivotal role in shaping the legal and political framework of independent India. It was entrusted with the monumental task of preparing a constitution that would not only reflect the aspirations and ideals of the people of India but also serve as the foundation for a democratic and just society. The committee's work was integral in laying down the principles and provisions that continue to guide the country to this day. Understanding the role of the drafting committee involves examining its composition, responsibilities, challenges, and achievements during the crucial period of its formation and work. The drafting committee was formed in the year 1947 by the Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly itself was a body of elected representatives who were tasked with drafting the Constitution of Independent India. The Assembly was constituted to reflect the diversity of the country, representing different regions, communities, and interests. The drafting committee was a subcommittee of the Constituent Assembly and was responsible for putting together the document that would serve as the supreme law of the land. Its primary function was to translate the ideals and principles discussed and debated in the Constituent Assembly into a comprehensive and coherent legal document. The committee was composed of some of the most eminent and respected leaders of the time. It was chaired by a distinguished leader who had an extensive legal background and was deeply committed to the cause of India's independence and the establishment of a just society. The committee included members with varied professional backgrounds, such as lawyers, social reformers, and experienced political leaders. This diversity of expertise and viewpoints proved to be invaluable in shaping the content of the Constitution. One of the most significant tasks of the drafting committee was to draft the preamble of the Constitution. The preamble serves as the introductory statement of the document and reflects the fundamental values and philosophy that the Constitution seeks to uphold. The members of the committee worked diligently to ensure that the preamble would embody the ideals of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. These principles were inspired by the experiences of colonial oppression and the struggles for independence, and they became the foundation of the Constitution's vision for the future of India. The drafting committee worked to ensure that the preamble would be a statement not only of political ideals but also of social and economic justice. In addition to the preamble, the drafting committee was responsible for formulating the structure of the Constitution. This involved deciding the nature of the Indian state, the system of government, and the distribution of powers between the central government and the states. The committee decided that India would be a federal republic with a parliamentary system of government. The decision to adopt a federal system was influenced by the diversity of India's regions, languages, and cultures. The committee sought to strike a balance between central authority and regional autonomy, reflecting the need to maintain unity while respecting regional diversity. Another key responsibility of the drafting committee was to decide on the fundamental rights that would be guaranteed to all citizens of India. The committee worked to ensure that the Constitution would provide for a wide range of civil, political, and social rights, which would safeguard the freedoms and dignity of individuals. These rights included freedom of speech, equality before the law, the right to education, and the right to practice one's religion. The drafting committee also had to tackle several other important issues related to the functioning of the Indian state. One of these issues was the establishment of the judiciary and the protection of judicial independence. The committee worked to ensure that the judiciary would be independent and would have the power of judicial review to ensure that the laws passed by the legislature were in conformity with the Constitution. The committee also focused on the distribution of powers between the Union and the states, which would determine the legislative, executive, and financial powers of each. The drafting committee's work was not without challenges. The task of drafting a constitution for a diverse and newly independent country was an enormous undertaking. The committee had to consider a wide range of issues, from the structure of government to the protection of individual rights, and each decision had far-reaching implications. The members of the committee had to engage in extensive discussions and deliberations, sometimes involving contentious issues that required careful negotiation and compromise. For example, the committee had to address the issue of the relationship between the central government and the states, which had been a source of tension during the period of British rule. The committee had to ensure that the new constitution would reflect the aspirations of the people of all regions without alienating any particular group. The drafting committee also had to address the issue of social justice, particularly with regard to the protection of marginalized communities. The committee sought to ensure that the constitution would provide for the upliftment of backward classes, scheduled castes, and scheduled tribes. This was an important aspect of the constitution's social vision, as it aimed to create a more inclusive society that would offer equal opportunities for all its citizens. The inclusion of provisions for affirmative action, reservations in education and employment, and protection from discrimination was a direct result of the committee's efforts to address the inequalities that had persisted under the colonial system. The drafting committee worked in close collaboration with other committees of the Constituent Assembly. While the drafting committee focused on the language and structure of the Constitution, other committees worked on issues related to the distribution of seats in the legislature, the creation of new states, and the establishment of commissions to oversee the functioning of various government institutions. The drafting committee's work was shaped by the discussions and debates that took place in the Constituent Assembly, where members from different political and ideological backgrounds voiced their opinions on the Constitution's provisions. Stop.